The rain practice is a practice that we can do in terms of helping us integrate difficult circumstances, situations, emotions that arise in life, and that we may want to help process. It is based on neuroscience research in terms of recognizing the emotions that we're having and kind of going into them. And so the R of rain is recognize, the A is allow, the I is investigate, and the N is nurture. The N is nurture. Now, just because you're doing the practice, some people, when they do the practice, they feel like the allow, let's say somebody did hurt you in some way. The allow is not that you are allowing that behavior to be okay. That's not the allow. Okay, if somebody hurt you, there may be obviously consequences to their actions, such as maybe you're not going to talk to them again, or you need to file a police report, or whatever that might be. And so you're not allowing those actions to take place. You're not condoning negative actions or activity in any way. All right. But what you are allowing, right, is the present moment emotion that is real for you in that moment. All right. So when you bring up a situation or event, let's say you bring up an argument that you got with somebody, and you recognize it and it caused you anger, and you felt maybe as if they should apologize, and maybe they should apologize. The allow is you're not allowing them to do that action. That's not what the allow is. All right. You're not condoning the action that took place. If there was physical abuse or violence or verbal or any type of, we're not condoning that. What we're doing is we are opening to the present moment, and in doing so, seeing if we can allow, as difficult as it might be, seeing if we can allow the emotion that arises in this moment for us. All right. That is our truth in that moment. That's our truth. And so here it's arising, and maybe it's associated with a negative event. Okay. We're not condoning the event. We're not allowing the event to occur again. But we are in that moment allowing the emotion to be present, recognizing it. Oh, hello. As difficult as it is, and we don't want to, right? Right, so that's a big part of the allow. Sometimes just recognize and allow is like 95% of the battle. Recognizing and allowing, as soon as we do recognize what's going on and see if we can allow it with no resistance, sometimes that can feel like, I can't allow it. All right. And we notice the resistance. And even if we know that even if we recognize that we can't allow it, that we recognize the resistance, we say, wow, there's a lot of resistance. Right? So we're allowing the present moment to be just as it is. And then we're investigating the present moment from a body-centered perspective of sensations. What are you feeling in your body? Can we investigate it? If we had a color, a sound, if it had a shape, if you could draw a border around it. And notice it. Recognize it. Allow it. Does it move? Does it change? Does it become less intense, more intense? As it becomes more intense, can you be with just that? Can you be with the intensity as it grows? If you can't, you recognize that too. And you divert your attention to a place that you feel like you can pay attention to. Maybe it's your breath, what we call the anchor or a resource. The anchor and the resource are synonyms. It's sort of the same thing, right? That's sort of mindfulness practice 101. Where are you placing your anchor? The anchor is a place that you direct your attention to, that you feel safe. All right. Where can you direct your attention to that you feel safe? This might be a word, a phrase, an imaginary being, a real being, a plant, an animal. It might be a spiritual figure. It might be an imaginary place. It might be a sensation, an emotion. It might be feeling your feet on the ground. It might be feeling yourself breathing, whatever it is. But that you take time to find your anchor, because that can be a very powerful place to come from. Okay, where's your anchor? And as you practice, your anchor may change. That area, that place that you direct your resource may change. And that's perfectly fine. You find a different resource, you find a different anchor, right? And so then we go into the investigation, and if it gets too intense, we go back to our anchor and we see, can we come back? And it's like a pendulum. All right. If you notice that it's softening, then you stay with it. And then we nurture, right? Nurture is that powerful part of that self-love, bringing the self-love in for your practice, as whether it's from you, from somebody else, from a spiritual figure, again, whatever it might be, guiding you. What does that vulnerable part need in this moment? Does it need to be held? Does it need to feel heard? Can you put your hand where you feel the most vulnerability? Can you soften that area with light, love, compassion? Maybe it's coming from a divine source. Maybe it's coming from another being. Maybe it's coming from yourself. Okay. And that nurturing part from our conversation, some people have a difficult time going into that self-love, right? So a good practice then, what we talked about on Tuesday, is to bring in loving kindness, bring in the practice of loving kindness. And this was an article written by Emma Sapala, who is at Stanford and does a lot of research on loving kindness, meditation, and this practice. And here are science-based reasons to try loving kindness meditation. Number one, increases positive emotions and decreases negative emotions. Number two, increases vagal tone, which increases positive emotions and feelings of social connection. So we've talked a lot about vagal tone. If you're not familiar with it, stay with us, because we will talk about it again, I guarantee you, but I'm not going to go into it right now. It decreases migraines. Loving kindness meditation decreases migraine, decreases chronic pain. A pilot study of patients with chronic low back pain randomized to loving kindness meditation or standard care. Loving kindness meditation was associated with greater degrees of pain, anger, and psychological distress than loving kindness meditation was associated with greater decreases in pain, anger, and psychological distress than the control group. If I told you that we did a pilot study giving Tylenol, and Tylenol was associated with greater decreases in pain, anger, and psychological distress than the control group, we'd all go out and buy Tylenol right now. But I'm telling you that practicing loving kindness can do the same thing. In fact, do you know that if Tylenol came out right now, it probably would not be an approved drug? I'm just throwing that out there. Just putting that out there. And yet we can buy it over the counter. Decreases PTSD. 12-week loving kindness meditation course significantly reduced depression and PTSD symptoms among veterans diagnosed with PTSD. Veterans. That's no joke. Decreased schizophrenia spectrum disorders. Whoa, now we're getting into, psychiatric. Activates empathy and emotional processing. Increases gray matter volume. Increases gray matter volume. Oh, are you ready for this one? Increases telomere length, a biological marker of aging. In 2013, they found that women who with experience in loving kindness meditation had relatively longer telomere length compared to age-matched controls. If we came out with a study that showed that putting a facial cream on your face increased telomere length, we would all be buying that facial cream. Does anyone know what telomeres are? It's quite fascinating. The woman who discovered it, she was at University of California of San Francisco, and she actually won the Nobel Prize for discovering the enzyme that increases telomere length. And telomeres, we all have them, and telomeres are like these. They're like these buffers on the end of our chromosomes. So every cell in our body has 46 chromosomes. And that's what contains the DNA for the processing of, essentially the creation of all proteins in our body. And as the cells divide, the telomeres slowly shrink in size because it's like they're the ends, and so they get broken off. They're more vulnerable, let's say, to destruction. And so as we age, naturally, what happens is that the telomere length shortens. And so there's a lot of research looking at how to increase telomere length. Practicing loving kindness makes you a more helpful person. Pro-social behavior. Increased compassion. Increases empathy. Decreases bias towards others. That's a good one. Increases social connection again. Curbs self-criticism. Who needs a little curbing of self-criticism? Here we go. So this is a study done in 2014, found that loving kindness meditation was effective for self-critical individuals in reducing self-criticism and depressive symptoms and improving self-compassion and positive emotions. These changes were maintained 3 months post-intervention. 3 months. There was an immediate and long-term impact. The nice thing about loving kindness meditation is that it has been shown to be effective in both immediate and small doses. So there's an instant gratification, but that it also has a long-lasting effect. This study that was done in 2008 by the same author at Stanford found an effect of a small dose of loving kindness meditation, practicing for less than 10 minutes. Increased feelings of social connection and positivity towards others. Less than 10 minutes. Emma Sapala, she's a scientist at the Stanford University, and she is the associate director of the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education at Stanford University. So that's just a short list of effects that loving kindness can have on the body, human physiology, increasing social connection, compassion, decreasing pain, symptoms of depression, increasing empathy. Right, and this is all from a practice of loving kindness. So, what is the practice of loving kindness? Um, the practice of loving kindness is a very sweet practice of directing intentions of loving kindness to yourself and others. Intentions of loving kindness to yourself and others. Okay. Now, some people, there are different ways of doing this. Some start by directing loving kindness to themselves. Others start by directing loving kindness to others, to people that might be easy to direct loving kindness to. Some people find it difficult to direct loving kindness to themselves. They feel as if it's more easy to direct loving kindness to others than it is to themselves. Like they don't deserve loving kindness. Like they don't deserve loving kindness. All right. I've done it both ways. They're both powerful. The woman who really brought loving kindness into the Western world, her name is Sharon Salzberg. She has a number of books and retreats that she does. She started, I believe it's the Insight Meditation Society, or she's one of the co-founders of it. She has a number of retreats. Incredible human being, incredible woman, who has taught loving kindness and or metta practice for a number of years. We talked about how having different practices, when you get to that nurturing part, and maybe you start to realize that, wow, I really have a hard time. I'm processing this intense emotion, and I get to the nurturing part, and I get a block. I have a difficult time nurturing myself in that self-love and compassion. Okay, and we spoke about that's actually a good time that maybe you switch and you go into a little bit of loving kindness, and you're directing positive, loving intentions to yourself. Okay. That's it. That's it. You just sort of open up to directing phrases of intention. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be free from suffering. Or whatever phrase that resonates with you. Okay. And the beauty of this is that if you practice it on your own, you can come up with your own phrases, right? You come up with your own phrases. Okay. So the practice that we're going to do today is going to be a loving kindness practice. This is based on the work of Sharon Salzberg as she teaches it in the Insight meditation. Right? And essentially, I'm a firm believer of if the airplane needs oxygen, you put your oxygen mask on first. And then you put on your kids, right? Even if you really think your kids need it, you actually need to have the oxygen so that you're with it enough to be able to put it on your kid or parent or whoever you're with. So from my perspective, I like to start with doing it on myself, sending loving kindness. I did notice that when I did start the practice, it was difficult to do this. I felt resistance. And that's okay. It was sort of like, wow, I'm resistant at feeling loving kindness from myself. Okay. And so what I did is I continued with the practice. Because my thought and felt sense at the time was, if I don't have loving kindness for myself, then loving kindness for everyone else is sort of like a facade. It's like a fake, in essence. Okay, so I was having a really hard time practicing loving kindness for me, and I just kept on practicing it. May I be happy. Yes, me, even me. Really? This was a conversation I'd have in my head, right? Really? Why am I wishing myself happiness? It's like the stupidest thing in the world. May I be happy. You don't deserve to be happy. Everyone else deserves to be happy, but you. Everyone in the entire world should be happy, but not you. You, well, you should be suffering. That was the conversation I was having in my head, right? Being like, really? Right? And the shift came from, really? Even me? Even me? At that time, that's just how my mental process was. Okay. And so I learned it. And the other great part about this practice is that my wife and I started doing it when we were hiking. So we'd go on these beautiful walks together. And you can do it while you're walking your dog, for instance, or you can do it when you go outside or something like that. But as you're hiking, you just look at, you look at nature. And you just wish yourself loving kindness. May I be happy. May I be happy. And you notice all the thoughts, all the resisting, if you have them. I did. Now they're much less. But you just notice all the thoughts that arise, right? May I be happy. Me? Yes, you. Oh, maybe I could be happy. Well, just open up to the intention. And that's the point, right? It's not necessarily that you're going to feel happiness. You're opening up to the intention of the words that you're speaking. Just imagine that. You don't have to change. In fact, tell yourself, I don't have to, but open up to the intention of the words that you're speaking and see how they start affecting you. I guarantee you they will. Okay. So what we do is we do it for ourselves first. And as difficult or easy that might be for you, then we switch to directing loving kindness to somebody that we are having a positive relationship with, that we feel grateful for. Then we direct loving kindness to somebody we are neutral about. The word neutral for me always triggers me, because after I did the practice for a while, nobody was neutral, because if I knew them, they were in my life for a reason. And so there was sort of like oh, well, like, you're not neutral. You helped me this, or I interacted with you, walking through here, or whatever it might be. Anyways, somebody who's neither causing, who's neither, who you're neither like very grateful for, or that is causing you distress. All right. The next practice then is directing loving kindness to somebody who you're having a difficult time with. And this, you might even find resistance as well, because you don't want to direct loving kindness to that person. You may not want to. And so therefore, that's actually the practice, is learning how to direct loving kindness to not only yourself, the people who might be easier to direct loving kindness to, that you're grateful for and have good relationships with, but also to the people that you're struggling with, that you're having a difficult time with. Yes, even them. That we direct loving kindness even to them. May you be happy. Yes, even you. God, I really don't wish that they're happy. Okay. Notice the thoughts that arise, right? In a mindful, non-judgmental way. I'm so bad that I don't want them to be happy. And then we end with all beings everywhere. All beings everywhere. As you do this practice, if some of you may have been doing, you'll notice that you might jump around a little bit. Maybe you want to wish loving kindness to others. Maybe you want to wish, maybe you want to start out with somebody who you're having a difficult time with, because that's what you're bringing the practice in for. Maybe you get that sense that we are all one, and so separating people and individualizing them makes no sense. And so you actually go straight to all beings everywhere. Okay. But as you do the practice, you'll get that feeling will come. It'll just be like, wow, why am I even going through this stepwise process of individualizing people when we're all interconnected? It's all this mix of molecules and stardust and energy. And so then you might just go to, wow, you know what? May all beings everywhere be happy, including me. Yes, I am one of those. All of them. Okay. And that to me is really the beauty of the practice as you do it. As you do it. Because at first it might seem a little mechanical, maybe. Might seem a bit artificial. Okay. And that's perfectly fine. As you do it and you just bring in the intention of that loving kindness, the automaticity and the mechanics of it sort of starts to disappear. And you start to see the beauty of the practice as it emerges, just as wishing loving kindness. Simple as that. Right? As opposed to like, okay, I'm going to start with this person, then go to this person, then go to this person, then go to that person. All right. And that's why I encourage this practice. It's a very powerful practice. And I do encourage it, and you will see your practice of it shift over time as you become more and more comfortable with it, and sort of that mechanical nature of it falls or drops. And then it's not about calling your friend up after you did loving kindness and being like, hey, I just did loving kindness with you. Did you notice it? I'm such a great person because I did loving kindness for you. See how you feel. Go into a situation maybe that you feel uncomfortable. Try it prior to the situation. If you're anticipating some discomfort, try it prior to the situation and see how you are actually creating your energy field by this practice, and how you may or may not feel different. All right. So with that, let's go into our practice for today, our practice of loving kindness. And again, although in these sessions I sort of differentiate these practices, right? What I encourage you to do as you get more advanced in these meditations is really create your own practice, right? Where you're sensing your breath, and you might go into an emotional rain practice when you bring in some metta, and you deepen your breath, whatever it might be, all right? But that you're creating this sort of mixture of practices for yourself, and that's one of the reasons that I highly recommend you have your own practice outside of this. Obviously, this is good twice a week. Some of you, this is all you can do, which is fantastic, and you've already started noticing some differences. But your real sort of mixture of experience will come when you do the practices yourself. Okay, so let's find a comfortable posture. A posture that you will feel relaxed yet alert. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, or having a soft downward gaze. And taking 2 or 3 deep breaths, and really allowing yourself to be present right now in this moment. That there's no place you need to go. To giving yourself the next 15 minutes to do this practice. And releasing any stress or tension in your body. And directing your attention to your anchor, to your resource, a place that you can direct your attention to that you feel safer, that you feel more comfortable. This can be any place, a sensation, an emotion, the repetition of a word, phrase, or sound. The sensation of your feet on the floor. Your breath, or pure awareness. And as your mind wanders, which is what the mind does, simply redirecting it back to your anchor. And now going into our practice of loving kindness. And today we're going to start with ourselves. Directing thoughts and intentions of loving kindness to ourselves. Any thought or intention that resonates with you, and opening up to the intention that the words describe as the words express them. Repeating those words to yourself. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be free from suffering. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be free from suffering. Repeating any phrase to yourself. May I be blank. Whatever works for you. Opening up to the intention that the words express as best you can. Noticing any resistance that arises. Noticing any softening that may arise. Wishing yourself loving kindness. And just noticing what occurs in your body as you direct these intentions of loving kindness to yourself. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be free from suffering. May I be full of strength. May I be full of peace. May I be full of gratitude. Whatever works for you. And now bringing to mind someone who you're having a good relationship with, who you're grateful for, or those positive interactions with, and directing to them the same loving kindness you directed to yourself. As you imagine them in your mind's eye, directing the loving kindness phrases of intention that you directed to yourself. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. And continuing to repeat whatever loving kindness phrases to this person as you imagine them in your mind's eye, who you have a positive relationship with. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be safe. And now bringing to mind, in your mind's eye, someone you are neutral about, who there's neither a strongly positive or negative relationship with. And wishing them the same loving kindness as you wished yourself. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. And as your mind wanders, or any resistance arises from the loving kindness, simply bringing it back to the repetition of your intentional phrase, may you be happy. And now bringing to your mind's eye someone you're having a difficult relationship with, that you might be having some challenges. And yes, even them, wishing them loving kindness. May you be happy, even you. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. And notice what happens. Notice if any emotions arise, if there's a softening of the heart. Simply noticing. As you're directing loving kindness to that person that you are having a difficult time with. Directing the intention of loving kindness to them. Do you notice any resistance? Or is there an opening as well? And just paying attention to whatever you notice. As you redirect your thoughts back to your intentional phrases, may you be happy. Yes, you. And now, shifting and choosing to direct loving kindness to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. All beings everywhere, including yourself, all beings everywhere, including yourself. May all beings be happy. And now directing your attention back to your anchor. And taking 2 or 3 deep breaths and seeing how this practice affected you today. Slowly opening your eyes if your eyes were closed. Reorienting yourself to your room and surroundings. Feeling your feet on the floor, your thighs against the chair or whatever support surface they're on. And just reflecting on your practice for today of integrating loving kindness